Aloha and welcome to Is It For Real? I'm Gregory Dunn, your host, President of Hawaii's Better Business Bureau. Today you're going to have a really special treat because we have a reunion of sorts. Dennis and Marilyn are here with us from the Senior Medicare Patrol. And they're going to be joining us in talking about how to avoid being taken advantage of in terms of Medicare fraud. You'll recognize them from the Hawaii Partnership Against Fraud's recent TV PSA promotions. How to protect yourself against fraud, and ask yourself, is it for real? So Marilyn, Dennis, thank you for joining us today.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Aloha. So tell us a little bit about the Senior Medicare.
The Senior Medicare Patrol, or SMP Hawaii, was established in 1997. There are 52 SMPs nationwide. SMPs are basically supported by a grant from the Department of Health and Human Services. And locally, we have a staff of 2 people, and those 2 people support a growing number of volunteers. We have SMP volunteers on Kauai, Maui, the Big Island, and Oahu. And our volunteers go out and try and train seniors on how to be aware and how to detect Medicare fraud, errors, billing errors, scams.
So in other words, it sounds like it's a group that's funded by the U.S. government in some way. It's a nonprofit group that uses a large number of volunteers to go out and work one-on-one with seniors and help educate them.
It's a staff of 2, and the volunteers are about, 40, 60?
I don't know, but there's actually only staff of 1 right now.
So,
Staff
That's
of
true.
1. So one paid
She's
staff.
doing the whole thing.
Yeah.
It's amazing what
yeah.
she's able to do.
So-
But she is supported by a bunch of volunteers.
So a bunch of volunteers on all the islands. So what's a typical day look like if you're going to go out? Because I know, Dennis, you were saying that you're getting ready to go out and do another training, another educational training, even this afternoon after we're finished. So what do those trainings look like?
we go out and we go out and support the community by going to fairs. Mm-hmm. We do presentations to senior groups or to any organization that basically invites us to do a presentation. We also do one-on-one counseling if there's a problem regarding Medicare. Why don't you go over our mission and our motto?
Well, actually, our mission is to empower seniors and their families and their caregivers so none of them get taken advantage of, none of them get caught up in any scams or fraud or any of that stuff that is so prevalent now. And what we try to do is educate our seniors so that doesn't happen. We don't want it to happen. We don't want any of that to happen. And our SMP motto is protect. Protect your information, your Medicare number, all the personal information, protect it. Detect, we teach our seniors, look at your statements that you get. Make sure that you're actually getting billed. If you get billed for a wheelchair that you've never used, call SMP. Let them know. They'll get right on it. And report. And we just give, because it's easier, we say call SMP. We'll direct you to the right place. And that number is 586-7281. Call them. They'll steer you to the right agency.
So from that phone number, that's anywhere across the state, 808.
Yes.
So anyone on any of the islands could call that number if they would need information on protection, detection, and reporting of any suspected frauds, or if they want more information on how to get in touch with you folks.
They absolutely could, but they might be referred to Neighbor Island phone, someone that's handling it on Neighbor Island.
So then that way they can get someone from their community that's going to help them.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's one of the things that we at the Better Business Bureau find, that so many of our seniors, when they are looking for information, they need someone to talk to. They want to have a live body at the other end of the phone. And it's really great that organizations like yours and like the Better Business Bureau still provide a phone number with a live local person at the other end of the line to help you in answering your questions and protect yourself.
It's important because some of these numbers that you call, number one, you're on hold. The other day I timed it just because I was curious to see how long. I was on hold for 20 minutes. I don't have 20 minutes to be on hold.
No, you're too active.
That's
out
right.
volunteering and all.
Exactly.
And doing TV commercials.
Oh, yeah, right.
That's why everyone recognizes you everywhere you go.
Right.
But-
Generally, too, what we tell
Yeah.
people is, because there's a maze of different places, different offices to contact. Like SMP is part of the Executive Office on Aging. That's who sponsors us. If they're not sure who to contact us. Either we'll help them resolve the problem. If we can't resolve the problem, we'll refer them to the appropriate office to get their problem solved. So
Because
we're
you've
trying to
already
build-
figured out the maze of government and who handles what. And so then you
Yes.
can like save them time. And in many cases, if someone's information has been compromised, time is of the essence.
Yes.
You've got to get it quick. You've got to shut it down and put a fraud alert on your credit accounts.
And often they're already frustrated.
Yeah.
Like, like I said, we educate through presentations, through job fairs, and through counseling. SMP, as volunteers, we do offer 6 different presentations, from basic Medicare, medical ID theft, don't get scammed, volunteering, what else?
So
Well, there's just
I was going to say, with respect to the Medicare fraud in particular, one thing that's intriguing to me that you brought up about checking your billings and what you're being billed for.
Sure.
You know, that's something that someone may say, oh, well, that doesn't really affect me because, you know, I got billed for it, but it's being paid by someone else, and maybe I only have a small copay or something, so I'm just going to let it go. Why shouldn't they let that go?
number one. Medicare loses how many $1 billion last year? 64 billion?
20% of what they pay out in Medicare is lost to billing errors or to fraud. A full 20%.
So even if someone
Wow.
else is paying it, like I advise the seniors, do you want this to be available for your children, your grandchildren, Medicare? Of course, everybody does. We've paid into it from the day we started working. And we want it to be available. It should be available.
So in other words, what's happening is that we all are being scammed. We're all being taken advantage
Exactly.
of because your billings are incorrect or people are adding on items. I've even heard stories of people getting phone calls saying, oh, you know, we're calling from XYZ company about your free medical device that you're entitled to. And, you know, all I need is your Medicare number over the phone. What do you recommend people do if they get calls like that?
We tell them, do not give your information out to anyone. If this might be legitimate, there are some legitimate calls. But before you give out any personal information, just say, I'll call you back, get a number, a name to call back, and then check it out fully.
So when you say check it out fully, we're talking about calling the Senior Medicare Patrol, looking at the Better Business Bureau, seeing what you can find out online, using the BBB scam tracker tool to see if other people are reporting getting those same calls.
And we generally tell people you should be treating your medical statements like you treat your credit card statement. Generally, the way they found Medicare frauds or even billing errors is by people looking at their statements. Locally, the way they've tended to catch people have been by people reporting that, I think something's wrong. And then pursuing it through the justice system. Remember, any service that can be billed to Medicare can subject to a scam, fraud, or billing errors. So that's what we're trying to focus on, training seniors on how to do it. And I said we do formal presentations, but another way that we do it and that we like doing it is we have a SMP drama team.
Oh, if you haven't seen it, you
Yeah.
need to make sure you get to one of them.
And the reason we do it is because we believe that seniors remember stories a lot better than a talking head presentation.
Yeah.
And so we've kind of followed the Hawaiian tradition of mo'olelo.
Aye.
So we bring out situations and then we ask. We don't ask, is this for real? Well, we do ask, are you being cheated or not? And it tends to trigger things in seniors' minds saying, gee, if somebody calls me up, maybe I should be doing something else instead of saying hello.
Yeah. Absolutely. I would love to see it. And I was like, I hate to put you on the spot, but it'd be great to see an impromptu skit. It's like,
Actually, I suggested that. But Yvonne said probably wouldn't be a good idea
That's
because we
okay.
wouldn't be set
Yeah.
up for it, and we'd have to kick you off the stage.
I don't mind. It's like, but to your point about the talking heads, it is what we find oftentimes when seniors get taken advantage of the most is when they're put in a situation where they feel they're under pressure or it's emotionally charged or it's spur of the moment. It catches them off guard. If you ever get in a situation like that, we tell people hang up the phone.
Yes.
You don't have to talk to them.
Yes.
Hang up the phone. It's not rude.
I think the emotional thing, I mean, if they try to get to you through, like that big scam that they do where the grandchild calls and, oh, it doesn't sound like Marty. Marty, are you sure? Marty, is that you? Oh, yeah, Grandma, they hit me. I broke my nose.
Yeah.
I can't, doesn't sound like, I mean, they have so many different ways to try to get around it. And of course, what grandma is going to let her grandson go to jail?
Right. That's right.
That's why it's so important that we make sure the word gets out. If you ever get that, once again, get numbers that you can call back. Do not go to Western Union right away because it's amazing. They know where the nearest Western Union station is to
they
grandma's.
just happen to know exactly from where you are.
Yeah, exactly.
And people wonder, it's like, how do they know that much about me? And for people that have grown up in a time where the internet wasn't as prevalent, and it used to have to go down and have access to certain files to find out information about people, about their birth date and address and phone numbers and who your relatives are. All of that can now be found online very easily as a matter of public record. And in many cases, because there have been so many data breaches of medical records in particular, as you say, that's where they find the information to make it sound like they know who you are or sound like it's one of your relatives, but they're not.
Yes, and that's why our main focus is just to make sure that these seniors aren't taken in.
I think that's the passion of the SMP volunteers. We're passionate to ensure that kapunas like us are not taken advantage of because senior citizens tend to be more trusting.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And we were talking about the fact that, okay, somebody else pays. But another example of Medicare fraud is when somebody steals your Medicare number and starts using it to get services or products they're not entitled to. What happens then is, for example, if I needed a particular procedure and somebody took my Medicare number and already had the procedure, Medicare will not pay for my procedure until that issue is cleared. It's like a,
Sometimes
it's like
it
a
can
credit
take
problem.
months.
That could take months. So in that case, if you have a medical emergency that you've got to get taken care of right away,
Or you want a particular test, they can say, well, you've already had the test. And until that issue is resolved, you're not getting the, I shouldn't say you're not getting a test, but Medicare is not going to pay for the test.
right? So then, one of the things that people don't realize is you have the actual value of the fraud that occurred, then you have the loss of time.
Yes.
Marilyn, you said you don't have time for all of this other stuff to, wait on the phone 20 minutes. Imagine the amount of time it's going to take you to unwind someone fraudulently using your Medicare account to have received a
Exactly.
procedure. That could take months.
Exactly.
And what's scary right now, although there is a change process in place where they're going to change your Medicare number to something besides your Social Security number, if I have your Medicare number, I have your Social Security number. So all the other issues regarding fraud, of creating another identity, credit cards, that kind of thing, I can utilize that also, your Medicare card number, to go through that process of ripping you off also.
That's frightening.
It is.
One time when I was walking through the park, some young men approached me and said, "Auntie, can we just borrow, you got your Medicare number with you? Can we just borrow it a minute?" Now, I'm not sure how they were using them, but I was actually
That was here?
approached. Here in Hawaii, in the land of Aloha,
Wow. It's
at one of the community parks.
that's frightening because you think about that we grew up in such a different place, yeah,
Yeah.
and the world has gotten so fast and so connected, And there's so many people out there now who have identified ways to take advantage of you in ways that you could have never imagined.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because some of these things we would, the way we grew up was with ultimate respect for our elders and, you know,
Yeah, yeah.
and now some of these, they don't care.
Well, that and ability to get so much information about you. I can go on a website. I can tell you where you live. I can tell you who your past exes were, and if you have any children, I can tell you who the children were, and I can call you up and say, well, Grandma, I am.
Yep, exactly.
And you think, well, it's true because how would they get their name on the
Yeah.
internet?
Exactly.
It's scary.
And it's one of the things that we frequently tell, particularly younger people, is that they all love to publicize where they are and what
Yes.
they're doing every minute of the
Yes.
day. And so they're like, really excited to put the picture out there and say, oh my goodness, I'm going on vacation. We're going to go to the mainland. We're going to go international. And so if their
The house is
privacy
vacant.
the house is vacant, Grandma probably knows that they're on a vacation in this country. So if it's already been published on their Facebook or on their Instagram or
Sure.
via whatever platform they've put information out, that places the senior even more at risk, because then it's plausible that, oh yeah, they are traveling. They are stuck in Vegas. That even happened within our family. We get a call, we knew a family member was vacationing in Vegas, and they call and said, oh, I lost my wallet. Oh, I got to have some money. I can't pay the hotel bill. You got to wire it quick, otherwise they're going to throw us out. And so everyone runs down to get the money together to send it out to Western Union because they knew right where to send it. I was like, well, wait a second. Did anyone call? Did you call the relatives that are there and verify that that was indeed the need? It turns out the need wasn't there.
Yeah.
It was just another scam.
But I mean, she was ready to respond.
Exactly.
And that's
because
why.
we want a kokua, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's the way.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that, particularly for Hawaii, we've become known as a very generous, very caring place. And that makes us a very rich target environment.
The land of aloha.
Land of aloha. We've seen statistics via our scam tracker of the number of attempts of the grandparent scam, of the IRS scam. Is a big one. That was
I got
scary.
that one.
Oh yeah, I get it constantly.
Most of the time I just don't answer the phone, but that time I did for
Exactly.
fun.
Yes. Yeah, you don't want to answer the phone. But, you see those calls coming in, particularly from offshore, because, people from the call centers in either India or Pakistan or those foreign countries have identified this as a profitable market for them. So they're smart. They're business people. This is a criminal enterprise. It's not just some, person around the corner that's trying to rip you off out of a couple $100. I mean,
And
this
it's
is
gotten
big business.
so sophisticated.
Yeah,
I mean, my phone says IRS. It must be the IRS.
Yeah.
It's just, I think it's scary. We tell people, if you don't know who it is, hang up, shut the door, or walk away.
Yeah.
I mean, and people think that's rude. I mean, my mother thinks it's rude for you to just hang up the phone or to just shut the door saying no thank you.
Yep.
Without talking to them for a few minutes. Or you don't just walk away from someone. And I told her, that's a really good way of getting scammed.
Yeah.
Email. They've
Oh,
got the
wow.
emails going
Yeah,
out. I
yeah.
get an email almost every day saying, wow, I have all this money and all I need is a little,
Yes.
and there's usually a misspelled word.
That's a good one. Misspelled word is a good way to find it.
But
The thing is, if you didn't enter a sweepstakes, you can't win a sweepstakes. If you have to pay something ahead of time, then it's not real. Because if you've got to pay money to get money, all that person's doing is they're doing a little test to see if you're willing to give them a little money. And then the next thing you know is, oh, well, we need just a little bit more. And, oh, we need a little bit more.
Sure.
Just recently, we had a local gentleman, elderly, who was really excited because he won Publishers Clearinghouse.
Several of them.
And over the course of several weeks, the people that were not affiliated with that organization had extracted over $100,000 out of
whoa.
him, depleted his money, and he was absolutely all shame, embarrassed, and suicidal, because that was everything that he had saved for his retirement was now gone.
And that's what's sad to me. if they get taken, a senior citizen gets taken, there's no opportunity to work and recoup that funds.
Right. Right.
I mean, they're really in a bad place.
Yep, exactly. And it's unfortunate that there is no understanding on the part of the criminals that this truly affects people that are some of the most vulnerable.
Yes.
They don't have the ability to rebuild their savings. They don't have the ability to take care of themselves. Or if they lose their house, they do wind up homeless if they don't have relatives that they have to fall back on or rely on.
Those people that are taking advantage of seniors, they don't care.
Right.
Period.
It's all about the money.
About any of it.
And that's why it's so important that our kupuna can hear from volunteers like yourselves, who are also kupuna, who are able to go out and say, this is what you watch out for. These are the stories. Think about this in terms of how this could happen to you, so that when you start to see it, you recognize and go, oh, wait a second. I remember that time that I was watching those people and they said this. That's very powerful.
On one of our skits that I really enjoy doing, we come out, and I come out and I say, free diabetic medicine for 1 year. All you need is your Medicare card. You have to not Medicare, all you need is to be Medicare qualified, and I'll provide it for you for free for 1 year. So Marilyn will come on as a kupuna and say, yeah, if it's free, I'd like to sign up. So I convince her to give me a Medicare card number, and it's easy because I tell her, well, you know, I'm afraid that you might be ripping me off because people have ripped me off. So I need to see your Medicare card number just to ensure that you're Medicare qualified. And then I get a Medicare card number and I take care of her really well the rest of the year.
Yeah. Oh, gosh. So in a case like that, it's like, you're right. If you're not someone that is experienced in how to deal with Medicare and within the medical billing system, you wouldn't know any better. You would just go, oh, I get free. Oh yeah, I'll give. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because you know how much that can cost.
Yeah.
And one of the presentations we do is about how to read your Medicare statements, the quarterly Medicare statements, because it is a bit confusing. And so we try to train people on how to look and check, like you would check your credit card.
And double check.
Yes.
Back and forth. So it's one of the things, it's not just each of the billing notices you get, but look at the quarterly statement.
What Medicare paid and didn't pay.
And then, so if you see that discrepancy, there are a couple of steps that you want to take. You can call you folks and
I'd say that's the first way to get it started.
That's the first step.
Because we found that seniors, because of our respect for the medical field, most seniors are reluctant to call their doctor and ask a question. And if you'll call us, we'll either tell you, okay, this is what you should ask your doctor, or we'll call the doctor and ask the questions. And so that kind of alleviates them from feeling like, oh, they're disagreeing with somebody in an authoritative position.
Yeah, because we get calls oftentimes from relatives or family members who are worried that they see something. What would you say to the relatives? What steps can they take, and what are some of the red flags they should watch out for?
I really think the red flag issues can be identified if they check the Medicare statements, seeing if there's discrepancies. Is grandma paying more than she should be? Or is something occurring that grandma's just not aware of? We do have a personal, what's the journal's title? We have
medical
we have a personal medical journal. We say every time you see a doctor, put down what day you saw it and basically what he did. That
So it's like a book. So
it's
like
like
an old school journal, you go right in it. And
right.
okay.
And that way, when your statement comes in, because I can't remember what I had for breakfast yesterday, much less what happened a week from now. So when the quarterly statement comes in, you can check and say, okay, yeah, I saw a doctor on this date. I saw this.
Oh, but that wasn't what I thought. I didn't have a pregnancy test.
And we're laughing about the issue of pregnancy tests, but
it has happened.
It's Medicare situations are coded, and if they code it incorrectly, then that's an error. And it's ensuring that the services you got and are paying for are the services you got, and that some billing clerk didn't just make a numerical number error.
Because in that case, it could be that whatever test they charge you for or whatever procedure they charge you for was more expensive than the checkup that you did have.
Sure. Or one of our skits that I think is hilarious, because Marilyn does such a good job on it, is
Good job.
I say, well, we were charged for a colonoscopy, and she says, no, I went for a throat culture. And I go, no, it says colonoscopy. And she comes back and says, well, I think I can tell a difference between a colonoscopy and a throat culture. And it's that idea of,
Right.
that's why I should be checking.
Double checking, making sure.
Because of that kind of error.
You really do have to come see
Oh
our
my God!
skits sometime.
I want to film the skit.
They're-
Well, it's just
they
so
are
much
s-
fun. Oh,
they-
for goodness
But
sakes.
it puts it in a form that people pay attention, because it's not just someone up there droning on and on and on, and someone going to sleep. They're paying attention. They're watching. They're
Yeah.
following and it's good. The skits are a good way to reach people.
That's so exciting. I really like. I hope that we have an opportunity to get those skits somehow filmed and put out there, and
You should
get people
probably come be one of our actors.
Oh my goodness sakes! It's like people are.
That would
tired.
be
Yeah.
fun.
Oh, that would be fun. Yeah, that would be
Because
a lot of fun.
we also
So,
want to
yeah.
tell people that if they're interested in volunteering, doing what we do,
Right.
doing presentations, if they don't want to do drama club, that's fine. But if they want to assist other seniors on how to ensure that there's no medical identity theft or medical fraud, is volunteer with us. We are a growing number of volunteers with the Senior Medicare Patrol.
And so right now you've got around 40 volunteers statewide. It'd be helpful for you to have more.
Of course.
So
Always
there's
can
always
use
more
more
need.
volunteers.
There's lots of senior centers around, and as we know that as our population begins to go from Makule to Kupuna and get up in age, that this is going to become a growing and bigger problem.
Sure.
So what a better way to take care of each other than to reach out and participate in something like this.
It's just fun.
And you've had fun with it, yes?
I have had a ball with
Yeah.
it. How about you?
You've had fun?
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
I tell friends, I can't believe I'm in front of a group of seniors and I'm just going nuts. And I always say, when they ask what part do I want in the drama club, I always say, I want to be the villain. That's the
He
best
does.
part.
He likes that, being the bad guy.
Oh,
And he does
yeah.
it well.
Oh, I can just imagine. It's like the
He does whatever he does in the drama club. He does it well.
yeah, and I'm sure that everyone that watches it goes away and really understands. They
do.
They see it. They get the message.
They do.
Well, what we find is they remember. And that's, for us, that's the key. That they remember salient points.
Well, that's excellent. Well, we're almost out of time. I want to thank you, Marilyn and Dennis, for taking time out of your busy schedules to come down and spend a half hour with us to get the message out to our Kupuna. So thank you for joining us.
Thank you for
very
having
much.
us.
So, and thank you for joining us today on another episode of Is It For Real? I'm Gregory Dunn, your host, and want to say mahalo for joining us.